Hello, and welcome to What I Saw Last Week.
That's quite a mouthful.
I know. We're working on it.
So anyways, like the name implies, this series is where I will be going over movies that I saw at least 1 week ago. Now this time, I'll be reviewing the 2021 film Nobody. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. That's my non-spoiler review. It's pretty good. Go watch it. Now for anyone who doesn't care about spoilers, here we go. Now, Nobody is a Lego set. Don't worry, we'll come back to that later. Nobody opens very close to the end of the film for an establishing scene that raises plenty of questions for the viewer about the story that they're about to see. Then we get a montage about 2 weeks of our main character, Hutch Mansell, and his life. It's very similar to the opening montage of Hot Fuzz. Next, we get the Inciting Incident. The house gets broken into, and this scene is amazing. It tells us a lot about the main character, the way he assesses the situation, the way he stays calm and simply explains himself, and the way that he's trying to keep damage to a minimum. He hears from his son, his neighbor, and his brother-in-law about how he should have done better and taken on the burglars. When he gets home, his daughter gives him a slight reason to believe that the burglars took her bracelet, and so he determines that he needs to track them down and get it back from them. In his search, he goes into a tattoo parlor, where he's called out by a Desert Storm vet, who recognizes the tattoo on Hutch's arm and then walks out of the room. That allows Hutch to get the information he needs from the other people in the parlor. Hutch finds the burglars, gets his watch back, and learns that they don't have the bracelet. But they do have a kid. He leaves and is very upset at himself. And now, the bus scene. Hutch tries to take the bus home, and then a Russian and his belligerent friends crash their car, and then get onto the bus. The fight is great, and it ends with Hutch making sure that the Russian is alive, because after all, he doesn't deserve to die for what he's done. And now we're introduced to Julian, the villain of the story. And it's really well done. Within 2 minutes, we see that he takes what he does seriously, he's got a good bond with his assistant, and he likes to have fun. Julian goes to the hospital, where we find out that the Russian from the bus is his brother. And we get an interesting line about how you don't choose family. And then we find out that Julian thinks this happened because he's watching Option. More on that in a minute. Hutch goes home and connects with his wife, and in the morning he shares a nice moment with his son. Julian finds out who Hutch is and sends the men to bring him alive. We learned that Obshank is the Russian mob's 401k, and that Julian is currently watching it, but that he wants out.
What is happening?
Hutch goes home, and then hears the Russians coming, and so he puts his family in the basement. He fights them off, and they make some questionable choices, considering they're trying to take him in alive. But they do end up catching him. So it's fine in the end, and on their way back, Hutch manages to escape by crashing their car. At home, he gets his family to safety, cleans up the house by giving a little bit of backstory, and then he gets rid of any evidence by burning the house down. Hutch steals his neighbor's car, and then he burns down the yacht shank. He shows up at Julian's club. He uses the explosive that he has to get a conversation with Julian, and it's a pretty good conversation. After leaving, they get into a car chase, and it's pretty well done, well choreographed. Hutch leads them back to the warehouse, where they have a big action scene where all three man-cells fight the Russians, which is pretty good, aside from some plot armor. And then Hutch kills Julian, calls his family, and then collects everything that we see him with in the opening. And we pick up where we left off that scene. The investigators get called and they let Hutch go. They get a new house and the credits roll. Now, like I said earlier, this film is a Lego set. And it is in the same way that John Wick is. See, both Nobody and John Wick start near the end of the film and then jump back. They're both retired action heroes. They both have their house broken into. They both fight Russians. They both burn a stockpile of cash. They both get a new pet at the end. So basically, what I'm trying to say is Nobody is a ripoff of Taxi Driver. No, don't worry. I'm just starting out, but I'm not dumb enough to make a claim like that. What I mean to say is that these films are like a Lego set, in that even though they have many of the same pieces, the same colors, the same actors, crew, they both end up being unique in their own ways. In conclusion, Nobody has the tone of the later two John Wick films, and the writing quality of the first John Wick. It's got its flaws, such as how does Hutch use the bus after he lost his bus pass, or why do the Russians shoot at Hutch when they want to bring him alive, or why does Hutch burn down his house when he's just going to be let off at the end. You know, it's not a perfect film, but overall, it holds up well. It's got a lot of little neat setups and payoffs. It's a fun ride. Objectively, it probably sits at a 6 or a 7 out of 10. Closer to a 7 than a 6. And subjectively, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. Go see it. This has been what I saw last week.
What'd you bring me? I'm shocked!